Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video. This is part 3 of the detailed sessions looking at working with piabx files. Following the introduction in section 1 and viewing files in section 2, this is section 3 where we're going to be looking at detailed editing of the files in the browser. So let's get on and start with that. So we're in the browser here. We've selected the process we're interested in and we can see the documents in the Explorer, and as we click on a particular file, we'll see some information about it, whether it's available for checkout. We'll obviously automatically get our preview of the file, as we can see in the pane below. But this time we're going to go one step further and actually make some changes to it. Now we can only check out files that are not already checked out. They might already be checked out to somebody else, in which case we'd see a red cross here. Or they might already be checked out to us, in which case, rather than opening with a preview, it would have opened editable. And I'm going to show you that as we progress through. So here is our file. This is just a blank template, and so we're going to check this out, and the first thing we're going to see is that when we check out that blank template, the system injects the properties into it that we want to have that are set up in the template. Now in all of our standard templates you can find these automatically in this reference details section, and so you'll see it's brought in certain information where that's available from the system. Obviously some of these things may not have been filled in yet, so they're not injected, but anything that is possible is injected through. Now in these templates they're laid out as a separate section at the end, but actually you can use these anywhere through the template that you want to and have properties from the system injected in. You'll see when they are injected they're not then editable, but they can be viewed instead. So bringing forward blocks of text and other such information is entirely possible. And you'll see that it's flipped over from the down the page mode into this tabbed arrangement, which allows us to quickly jump to the sections that we want to update. So I'm going to come to the first one because it's a logical sort of place to come. And we can see we're being shown here the different sections. There might be some text explaining what we're supposed to fill in. And here we've got some guidance about what are mandatory fields or not, and I can simply come into here and start typing like that, and it will be stored here as part of this file. Now in practice this file is checked out for me and held on the server, and I'm interacting with it live. Now the system will auto save for me periodically the work that I've been doing. If I want to force a save of that, I can do that from the little menu up here, Save Changes. But like I say, it will auto save for me automatically as I go along every 30 seconds or something like that. So I'm working my way through updating the content, and I can obviously use the normal sorts of things that we might do, line breaks, etc. You'll see it spell checks for us depending on the browser. If the browser is set up to spell check text fields, then that'll happen here. And you can also copy paste. So here we've got some sort of stock text. I can pick that up, copy, and come in here and paste it like that. Obviously this is Latin, so we've got lots of spell checking being suggested there, but it's a fairly straightforward process, like I say, typing, copy and pasting to put content into there. There are lots of, a lot of these templates will be largely text fields, and as we run through this one we can see that's the case, but they're not all text fields. So here we've got project team structure, and it's suggesting that we might upload an organization chart. This is an image one here, so I can browse to an image file that I might be interested in and come and find that here. So here are my images, and in fact I think I had an organogram somewhere here. It doesn't really matter, let's use an office layout and upload image, and that's then stored that image for me. Now if I want to, I can come into here and change the image sizes, and in fact whenever you choose one of those sort of options like that, you'll see it's changed the main document display to just be that particular control we're interested in. when I save or close that bit of form, it comes back to the main document. So rather than popping up little windows on top, it replaces them. They're also, as you'll notice, coloured differently. I mean, in this case, you can't help but notice that's happened, but the colouring indicates that as well. So we've got our image there, and obviously we can work our way through these sections like that. Let's have a look at a couple of other ones. In role descriptions here, we've got a table. You can see this is a table because at the bottom it's got the ability for me to move items up and down, delete rows and add rows, and we can do that during edit. This isn't considered customizing of the document because tables are like that. They often extend. We can't change the column structures or other materials about this table without full customization control, but we can make minor modifications in the way I've just described. So you'll see we've got things like tick boxes here. These are Boolean operators. We can put in again some text, so I can put myself into that without the caps lock. Like that. And where we've got date fields, you'll see the date picker pops up, nice and easy to use. And some of the text fields can be single row, like this one. Others can be set up to be multiple rows if you're expecting perhaps a little bit more content to be added. And when you've got lots of content in those, like that, you'll see you'll be able to scroll those to read the content. Those can obviously be set up to be much deeper than that if you want them to be when they're multi-row. So putting that content in really is quite straightforward. Like I say, there's a range of different types. We can have numbers as well. Those can be integers or real numbers, and that's controlled obviously by the forms as you put the content in. And you'll find you'll be able to work on all of these sections here as you'll work through. Some of them might be guidance. Some of the sections might be what we call unlocked, and some of them might be locked. So when the users provide you with a template, the owners of the system define a template and make it available in your project, and you open it. Like this one, it might have most of its sections locked, so they're not available to add extra bits to. You're simply filling in the contents of the template. Others, though, might have their sections unlocked, so that you can actually add extra structure to them. So we'll have a look at one of those in a minute, but let's just check this one back in. Of course, the action of checking back in auto saves the latest content and uploads it. If I didn't want to change my content now but come back to it later, I might well want to do a force save like that. So when I'm going to check in, of course, we're still using the Project in a Box version controlling here, so we might want to save some notes about the changes that we've made. So I'm just going to put first draft in here like that and check in, and those changes that we've made are now stored here. We can see them as we sort of scroll through like that. Behind the scenes, of course, like I say, it's versioned. If I go to advanced here, I can see my multiple versions, and I can see the description that I added there, and we can see who made the changes, etc. Come back to basic again. Obviously we get our preview. Now if I want to again check out and edit, you'll see I've got the file like that, but actually I can go off and do other things. I could switch to other projects if I wanted to. I could come up here in fact and find appointments, which has been not available for me to check out because it's been worked on by somebody else. I can see here Carl has this file checked out as a file. That's what that means, checked out on the desktop. They've got it actually as a file. They're not working on it in the browser. We come back to this one and we can see it's remembered that I've got the file checked out. It knows it's checked out to me. It's checked out on the server, and so it's giving me the ability to carry on with my edits again. So we can be working on this, and actually this means we can come at this file in the browser from multiple different devices. I can work on it here. I can then log on from a different browser, and it will know it's got that content held for me, and I can continue working on that same file from a different device completely. So that's really quite powerful. You can come to your data from anywhere and continue working on it. You don't have to check it back in at the end of a session. I could close this down, come back to it later, like I say, and it would be available like this with the last changes I'd made ready for me to continue working. Let's just go and have a look at one of the files with a unlock section. So actually the blank file here, the blank template that we provide, is automatically shipped unlocked, and therefore these sections are unlocked, and at the bottom of them we've got add new item, and that allows us to extend the content. In this case it adds the same item as the one that was previous to it, in this case a text box, but I could then go on and edit and choose different types. We're going to cover that much more in the later sessions on personalizing the system, but I'm just pointing out now that you can do that when you just check out a file to edit, if that section is available for you and left open like that for personalization. Most of our standard templates, they're not, but in the blank templates they are. And in fact also, if you are working on piabx files that you created in an older version, 5.2 for example, your standard set of templates, when you open them from 5.3 they will automatically be locked. We don't auto unlock everything because in essence the older system they were always locked. There was no possibility of personalizing them from the system, so that's essentially continued by default, and you will need to get the password to unlock them if you want to change the sections. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. That's working on our piabx files live in the browser. The next session, session 4, we're going to be looking at working on our piabx files in the viewer, and that will also include when we check out and download the physical file from the browser as well, which is also a possibility. Okay, thank you very much.